MLG, knocking out 3 amazing players, Pain User, Select, and TT1, and now he's up against Slush. The series is tied 1-1. We're going to go into it right now.
Let's go ahead and get this match started. We are going to be playing on Blistering Sands. Slush was the one that chose this map, is that correct?
They're tied 1-1, yeah.
Now we are jumping into Game 3. Let's give the people who obviously no one saw it. So what happened in Game 1 and Game 2?
So Game 1, it was on Delta Quadrant. I would say that that's a very nice Terran map, but Slush did this beautiful counterattack timing against Last Shadow and just busted through the front and immediately won. Game 2 was a very crazy game on Steps of War. We'll talk about that in a second. We do have Last Shadow in the bottom left position as the blue Terran. Sorry, I didn't realize I suddenly had become color impaired as of late, but there is Last Shadow as the blue Terran in the bottom left. In the top right, we have Slush as the red Zerg.
Now, Blistering Sands, this map, TVZ, we've been casting a lot of TVZ lately, me and you.
And it's okay, because you know what? We want to give that little bit of chance, a little glimmer of hope, because there is only one Zerg left in this tournament, and that is Slush. He is in the winner's bracket, and he is a beast.
Yeah, now going back to the map, Blistering Sands, this map, you sometimes see fast expands coming out from, or at least an early expand coming out from the Zerg players, is it's somewhat easy to defend, but one thing that you always have to be aware of is this back door into your base. These destructible rocks hidden by the brush, you usually see players throw down if you're Terran, a supply depot right there, or have an Overlord overhead just to make sure that your opponent is not up to anything too crazy.
And, you know, I mean, again, we didn't get the chance to talk too much about Game 2 between these two players. It was on Steps of War. And on that map, we saw Last Shadow do a huge Marine SCV all in, or so it seemed, because Slush committed everything to defending, lost all his drones, all his workers, one of his queens. But Last Shadow had mysteriously afforded an expansion in the midst of all that. So Last Shadow slowly was able to extend that advantage for the win.
Looks like Slush is going to be doing what we casted yesterday. This is pretty much the same build that we saw from him again yesterday. And another TVZ against Mask. He's getting that extractor down for the early link speed. There goes the spawning pool. And if we look over here at the racks, looks like he does have a drone coming up from Slush. A little bit of a miss ping. I thought something crazy was going on.
I was holding down that Alt key to turn off the health bars because I'm not a big health bar fan. And instead, I just started pinging the mini-map like crazy. Like, alert, JP, we're actually casting. Thank God that went out on air. So it does look like Last Shadow will be saving up the throwdown. And Orbital Command, is he getting that fast tech lab? Oh, he is indeed saving up. And there it gets thrown down right on time.
It looks like Last Shadow does have an SCV in place right on top of that natural expansion for Slush. He does pull it off a little bit, scouting around, not really sure if that was just on a rally. He's going to be sending it there into the main of Slush. Spawning pool about to finish, and he has already 100 gas. There he goes, instantly getting spawning pool, or getting link speed from that spawning pool as soon as it finishes.
And of course, Queen coming out as well. Very safe play by Slush, but we really don't know what to expect out of Slush. He's a sort of player who practices so many styles that he has that unbelievable versatility, and this is a weird choice. A Marine getting produced right now by Last Shadow. He probably wanted to just get that Nitro pack upgrade first, wanted to value the speed over the Reaper. He knows that the real damage gets done after Reaper speed gets finished, and that Marine will be able to take out that SCV.
Yes,
or
there
drone,
goes
or what have you.
There goes that drone falling. Handful of links coming out from Slush. Looks like he is going to be bringing a drone there into his natural expansion, throwing down that hatch. And with this Reaper opening, I mean, we've seen a lot of Terran players do this Reaper opening, and a lot of the time they go in for the kill in the back of the base, jumping up near those destructible rocks, and really the sign of a good Terran player against a good Terran player in the TVZ matchup is harassing the expansion constantly. Just constantly going in there and going out, trying to do as much damage as possible, but not over-committing and losing all of your forces.
So it looks like Slush is making plenty of speed zerglings to be able to deal with this Reaper harass, and such a good little sneaky move right there by Last Shadow. Keeping an SCV in the back of the base because he wants to be able to check up on the timing of the layer without having to waste a scan, wants to spend all of his money on the mule. And in the main, we do see that there are 2 more barracks going down by Last Shadow. Very typical opening. You open with 1 barracks, get the very fast Reaper speed, don't do anything until that speed upgrade finishes, and in the meantime, slam out a bunch of barracks.
Looks like Slush, I thought Slush was actually going to attack those destructible rocks. A little bit of an SCV there, sneaking into the main, and wow, a completely undefended hatchery there. Last Shadow, I was about to call him by his name in-game, but yes, Last Shadow does pull back, and I love that drop down. I love retreating down and going away down cliffs instead of going up cliffs and not really knowing what is going to be there. It looks like that expansion has fully finished for Slush, not too much damage done, and link speed has finished. He's got to try to get this round on that Reaper, but the Reaper saves his life.
Look at this. Last Shadow being very, very aggressive with his Reapers, trying to get some pickoffs on those Zerglings, does manage to take out one. We do see that those 2 barracks are now finished for Last Shadow, and he is beginning Reaper production out of all 3. He does have a little bit of money stockpile. Don't know if he's going to go for barracks 4 and 5, or whether he's going to be trying to throw down an orbital command for another expansion. And ooh, he gets a good scan off. Does he end up seeing that Roach Warren?
No, he does not see that Roach Warren. That scan was a little bit to the right, too far. So I'm sure he expects roaches, but he's not sure when they're going to be coming, as he, of course, did not see the Roach Warren going down. And one of the signs of that Terran players do is if they're going to be going for an expansion, or if they're going to be adding on 2 more racks. And it looks like Last Shadow might be throwing down an expansion, as he has saved up to about 500. Here comes a couple of Lings for Slush, just trying to see what his opponent is up to.
Look at all those Reapers coming out, doing a good bit of damage, picking off those Zerglings on the retreat, but Zerglings are faster than Speed Reapers, and we do see there's a big collection of Zerglings outside the front to try to possibly do some surround. Last Shadow is approaching that immediately. Oh, the Zerglings are going to get a good surround off, but there are so many Reapers. He's able to do a lot of damage. 2 of those Reapers fall down. Slush having very calm, very solid control, and an expansion is going up for Last Shadow.
Yeah, it looks like Slush is going to be powering drones out of his expansion right now. No, he's actually going to be making roaches. Excuse me, another, or I thought that was another hatch going down, but the lair is going down there from Slush. And again, this is what Terran players need to do in TVZ on this map, is constant pressure with only a handful of Reapers taking your expansion, and then once you see roaches, you obviously start transitioning into Marauders.
And we can see Slush slowly pulling ahead, as he is doing a great job of defending. Going back to this other base, it looks like Marauders now getting produced immediately by Last Shadow. Ooh, no delay there, getting stim. We'll be getting concussive shells very soon. Not that many Reapers. I know that sounds insane, but often you'll see players continue making Reapers up to 15, 16, and continuing to put pressure on the front, but it looks like he wants to get those Marauders out to deal with these roaches fast.
Creep Tumor has been thrown down there in the main of Slush's base, but let's go back and look at those Reapers. This is what you like to see. He has gone into the correct place right there, so he can jump down if he needs to evacuate the premises there if he does get surrounded by those Lings. I love that Ling placement from Slush. It looks like here comes the Last Shadow moving forward, and there he goes, falling down as soon as he sees those roaches.
And great play by Slush. Did you see that nice drawback with those Zerglings? Very smooth. Layer is up right now. It doesn't look like he has enough gas to get the speed upgrade for the roaches. Going back into the main of Last Shadow. His orbital command for the expansion is just now finished. Hasn't moved it yet. Isn't doing anything with barracks 4 and 5, but we do see a bunker at the front playing nice and defensively, and there's a huge scan in the center of the main.
It looks like he did see that lair, so he hasn't seen any tech choices right now for his opponent. Looks like Slush is going to be getting that Glill Reconstitution, aka Roach Speed, and he is about to connect his main and his expansion with those Creep Tumors. Some more harassment here from Last Shadow. This doesn't seem like it's doing much, but it's keeping Slush on his toes, and really, when you let a player like Slush, when you let any Zerg of this caliber just do what they want and power drones instead of just going in like that and making him respond to those small attacks, it's really the good sign of a Terran player.
And there's a really dangerous timing window coming up right now for Zerg. With Roach Speed done, these destructible rocks are a huge target. He can run up with a good amount of roaches and then swarms of Zerglings, and Marauder Reaper just does not stand a chance against that high of a Zergling count. It does look like Last Shadow continuing to be aggressive with those Reapers, going to advance to the Zelnaga Watchtower. Don't know why he keeps pulling back, though. Looks like he does have tech labs out on all of those barracks and is just making as many Marauders as he can afford.
He did go ahead and scout that lair, so he has thrown down an engineering bay, expecting Mutalisk coming here.
And we see a bunch of, whoa, SCVs were moving out for the big all-in attack and then instead deciding to retreat. And here's the Roach Zergling timing. That is huge. Is there any other tech structures going down? No, none at all. But still, this is going to be very, very scary for Last Shadow to try to defend.
That is a ridiculous amount of Lings there. That is definitely going to be able to surround a handful of Marauders. He needs to make sure that he waits for his Roaches. They're getting a little bit ahead of themselves. And this is exactly what you were talking about. Slush is going to start attacking those destructible rocks, making Last Shadow reposition his army. And he has no idea that this is actually occurring right now because there is no depot right there to scout those destructible rocks falling, and he has not relocated. He's just now relocating his Terran forces.
He's moving back all these units, but the destructible rocks are down. The SCV, oh, good morning. He finds out that the destructible rocks are done, so it looks like all the SCVs moving forward. He's trying to get into a good position. Slush being very careful with those Zerglings, now trying to advance them forward, taking out all the SCVs. Oh my god, a complete massacre on all of these SCVs, but I don't think Slush is going to be able to win this fight despite the huge numbers of Roaches, but I think the damage has been done. All those SCVs are gone, and there's some very nice micro by Last Shadow. Concussive Shell, is that not done? Wow, big mistake by Last Shadow that means that the Roaches will be able to retreat, but Slush still not doing too well on the economy, but I think that Last Shadow is doing slightly worse as there are no SCVs left in that main.
Slush has now thrown down a couple more extractors, only being on one extractor right now. He hasn't saved up too much Vespian gas for that but for that Spire. Looks like he's going to be throwing down a Creep Tumor here, using that Overlord to first spread his creep, another scan, seeing what his opponent is up to there, seeing that he's still on Roachling and no tech has actually been thrown down. I like the fact that Last Shadow is actually getting the infantry weapons level 1 right now.
Yeah, I love the fact that upgrade's coming up. Even though his economy has been absolutely battered by that first big early attack, he's still having a pretty decent sized army, and as long as he has good upgrades coming, he should be able to pull forward as the game progresses. But Slush is going to be at quite an advantage right now, because look at this. Last Shadow only has 26 workers. You want to have way more as Terran at this point in time. And wow, Slush might even be able to mount another offensive, but really the big issue is that Zerg can begin making workers so much faster and get such a bigger lead. And I would just like to state for the record, if Slush made infestors, that would make me a happy bear.
Yeah, seeing Slush utilize those infestors is really what he is all about, and I hope to God that we do see those here in this map. Looks like we don't see too much. I like the fact that he did go ahead and start powering drones there, as he's had that expansion up that second hatchery for quite some time, just now starting to mine from it. That is the power of that early Reaper aggression. It makes your opponent kind of question if they want to be powering drones or if they want to make Roach and Lings, and it looks like a Spire has been up for a little bit now, and
nice
it's about
transition.
to finish.
Yeah, love this play by Slush. He has a big, oh my God, and more SCVs being brought by Last Shadow. Last Shadow deciding I'm all in, and that might be the perfect timing. Has he scanned that Spire? Because this is just an absolute golden spot to be in, and it looks like, no, he has not seen the Spire. It just looks like Last Shadow has decided that he does want to go all in right now. Coming back to the mains, it looks like the Spire is done in the production tab. 7 Mutalisks en route, and more Zerglings definitely need to be into the fray as well. This is so many units. Last Shadow, it has everything on the line right now. He only has 29 workers, and half of them are in this fight right now.
Looks like, here we go, nice stem there from
And
Last Shadow.
all the drones in the main as well being in the battle, and everything is dying at the front. Slush rapidly losing workers, did have 39, but they are almost all gone right now. Those Mutalisks need to pop out. There they finally are, but I do believe Slush will be losing that hatch. There's nothing he can do about that many Marauders. What a funky timing by Last Shadow, but he will be able to pop into the main. I don't know if these Mutalisks can do damage fast enough. The Spire is going to fall down. Going to the resource counting station. 75 food for Last Shadow after that fight. Slush looks like he is in a terrible position. The Mutalisks were just a little bit too late.
Looks like Last Shadow is going to focus down that lair. Is he going to be able to finish it? Those Marauders are falling quite quick, and
yeah,
no, he saves it with 27 HP. That is ridiculous, but the damage has been done to Slush. He's in a very bad spot right now. His opponent does have an expansion up, but he does not have too many SCVs mining from it. Actually, no SCVs. He's actually extremely low on the harvesters count. Both players are. Slush sitting at 8 harvesters. Last Shadow sitting at 13. That is so incredibly low for both players right now.
I know. Geez, both players suddenly plummeting back down to absolute 0 money. But I mean, the fact that there are these Mutalisks here is going to be huge. Look at this. The food counts are even. Is this a tie game? I can't even tell. I mean, the one thing that Slush can do is just wait for Stim to run off on these Marines and continue to exploit this nice little sweet spot here. And yes, there he is, just sweeping in with more Mutalisks. He needs to be very careful. These are the only Mutalisks that he has, and it looks like he is just trying to pick away at these Marauders. There are just so few units out right now for either player that any advantage you can get counts huge.
And he needs to be careful, because obviously there are missile turrets in the mineral line as well as on that ramp of the Last Shadow. So we'll have to see exactly what he decides to do right here. He can't actually do too much harassment with those Mutalisks, because those missile turrets completely destroy Mutalisks in small numbers, and he has not actually got an expansion up right now at his natural, or gotten that hatchery that he did lose. Looks like it's now about to go up. There he goes, just now getting the minerals, and he's still trying to do some poking, but Marines are out on the field, so he's probably going to have to pull back.
And look at the income difference. This really shows you how much the mules have an impact. Look at this. Has over 1,000 higher income rate than his opponent, despite having almost equal worker count. That is huge, but this queen is going to allow Slush to get some good macro coming up. Looks like he is poking around with these Mutalisks again in the main. Any little bit of damage that he can do is going to be worth it, especially if he can pick off one of these outlying supply depots. The foods still are, well, it looks like they were even earlier on, but Slush now at 26, his opponent Last Shadow up at 52.
Yeah, really great missile turret placement, and I like the fact that he is sending out a Reaper, although he needs to go ahead and run back for the hills there as those Mutalisks were hot on his tail. But he's sending out the Reaper to try to see exactly what his opponent's up to, because he almost killed that lair, and he definitely did kill that hatchery. It looks like he does use a scan there because that Reaper did go ahead and get stuck. He sees the fact that another hatchery is going down. He definitely sees not too many drones, though, and that's one thing that you got to worry about right now.
He doesn't know if his economy has, if his opponent has a battered economy, or if it's the fact that he's just making a whole bunch of units.